the lion goes on like this 6-week hunt trying to find cursed his shit.
That's so cool. It's just like, hunting is on the menu now. I killed the weird beast things on my home planet. Now we're gonna kill some Night Lords. Let's go, mates. On 'em. Hello there, great person, and welcome back to Let's React to Warhammer 40k lore. Today we are finally going into Lionel L. Johnson, and yeah, I wanted to do a video by the Ember King, but then I realized that Ember King's videos will probably get me copyright strike to hell, and I'm sorry that I will not be able to do that. I might watch it on my own after this one, so today we will react to a video by someone called the Italian Spartacus, and it's 5 years old, so it might not be the most up-to-date one, but it's 40 minutes long, so I hope he will give me a lot of stuff. Shoutouts to him. As always, please go to his channel first, watch the video there, because I will like comment on it, of course, but he is the original creator. So without further ado, let's have some fun, get into Lionel L. Johnson, and also I want to do the Emperor of Mankind. I think I did not do the last part of it. I will do that as well, probably soon. And also, I want to do more battles. I currently also have the Siege of Thrax by, I think, Arbiter Iron. Yeah, Arbiter Iron. So I will do that probably. But if you have another battle you want me to react to, please tell me. Or if you want another video that I should watch as well, like, just tell me in the comments. But anyway, I've rambled on enough. Let's go and get to know Lionel L. Johnson, the Primarch that recently returned. And yeah, let's see what he's all about.
Doch ich frag mich, wer wir sind.
Lionel Johnson was the Primarch of the First Legion of the 20 founding legions of the Imperium. He's commander of the Dark Angels, and he has this pretty crazy and torrid history filled with honor and this great deal of secrecy and a lot of like infighting with a lot of his brothers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he's a troublemaker. I wonder what relationship he has to Gilliman, because I know those are the two active Primarchs currently. And I really wonder if we somewhere in the lore get them interacting. I would love that, like in the future, like current time, so to speak.
So with the new Dark Angels Codex just around the corner, and a lot of you guys asked me to expand on some of my 40k knowledge, I figured this is as good a time as any, really, to start with the Master of the First Legion. And this is another new series of videos I'll be doing here, focusing on the Primarchs of all 18, as we only know, 18 Primarchs.
Yeah, if you want me to watch more of his videos, tell me as well. And don't forget to go to his channel and like his content and watch it.
So only of all 18 legions, and their subsequent placements after the Horus Heresy. Think of this as kind of like the Index Astartes that used to be in the White Dwarf. I'm actually going to say Index Astartes. That's the way I like to say it. I don't like to say Index Astartes like I see in a lot of the games, but it's just like the Index Astartes.
Yeah, he is corrected as Astartes because it's Latin.
Only not. So before we get into the history of the lion himself, we have to jump back into a quick prehistory leading up to this point.
Yeah.
And
okay,
this is really to give a complete outside background on the situation, and this is assuming that you don't know anything about the Warhammer 40,000 universe. So
I do, though. We'll just recap some stuff I always forget. You know me, I forget stuff.
So I'm going to do a quick little blurb here on kind of the setting of the pre-Primarchs. So this kind of, so all of this really takes place, or the Horus Heresy, the Great Crusade, all the Primarchs takes place in the 30th millennium. So
yeah,
often 27,000 years ahead of our timeline now, as we live in the 3rd millennium. So the Emperor of Man, being a being that is kind of impossibly old and is combined from these spirits of many powerful psychic attuned individuals that all gave their lives at one moment to create this one singular soul and entity.
Really? I didn't know that. Is that a theory? That is probably just a theory here, because I thought we don't know where he comes from. But that sounds like a cool theory, though I will not subscribe to it, because yeah, we just don't know. I think we don't know. Please comment on that in the comments if you would be so kind. Like, I think we don't know this for certain.
They kind of said to themselves, hey, we know the evil that's coming. We are getting eaten when we die and we go into the warp, because we used to be able to revitalize ourselves and resurrect ourselves. We're all dying and getting eaten by the demons in the warp. We have to make something that can fight this. So bam, they actually all commit like ritual suicide basically and create.
Oh, it's the ritual self-deletion tactic. Yeah, I think we heard that in the Emperor video. I like the notion that he was created to fight the warp, but this sounds like the Elder did it though.
Create the Emperor, and he's been walking the Earth for thousands and thousands of years in secrecy. So the Emperor Mando kind of comes to the fore in like the 25th millennium or so, and unifies all of humanity at the end of what's called the Age of Strife.
Yeah,
in
I remember
the
that one.
Unification Wars.
Yeah.
The Age of Strife is basically well, humanity was once this like huge star-faring civilization, and it had been cut off from all of its empire due to what was called the Old Night, and that's a series
Oh, I also didn't know it was called the Old Night, the birth of Slanesh. Interesting.
of what are these called warp storms that hinder travel out of system. So that this is the Age of Strife, and the Emperor then begins work on his Primarch project just after he unifies all of Terra
That looks interesting. So this is a dinosaur tiger man.
and kind of start this new golden age, the precursor to the Great Crusade. And he creates a race of genetically enhanced super soldiers called Space Marines. And the Chaos Gods are, the same Chaos Gods we see in Warhammer or Total War Warhammer, if you're joining me from those series of books, or I'm sorry, games.
Yeah, I know it's the same ones.
They intercede and jettison all of the 20 Primarchs across the galaxy. And so really here begins our story. And the story of every Primarch is from this point on.
Yeah, still, I think someone told me before, and I'm so sorry that I forgot. But is there an official, like, did someone from Games Workshop release what exactly happened that made, like, how did it come? Like I think there was a woman that was supposed to protect them or something, a researcher, and she effed up or something, and then they were all like spread and scattered. But what exactly happened there? Does anyone know where I can read up on that, or is it just like this very vague thing?
Each one of their
I know
own
we've
legions
talked about
is
this, but
made-
hey, wait, he's got a Tyranid skull with a sword through it. That's cool. So he's not from the 35th millennium. He is from the 40th.
in their image with pieces of their genetic code imprinted into what is called their gene seed, into every Space Marine's gene seed. So thus starts the tale of the master of the First Legion, Lion L. Johnson. So in order to get a good idea, from
It's
this, we have to
before the rip.
take a step. Where did he land? So while Lion is the master of the First Legion, he was not the first Primarch to be found. That honor went to Horus. He was.
Horus was the first to be found,
more
really?
in time, and he'll always be mentioned as we go through this. But the Lion.
Is he just telling this off his sleeve? Because this is like, it's not that structured. I don't mind, but I realized that like it's not a written script he's reading, I think.
Landed on the death world of Caliban, and many of the worlds in the Imperium have certain
Oh, there's Cadia. Yeah, the planet fell before the man did or something. Yeah, man, it was so awesome to react to that.
designations. Death World, Forge Worlds, Agra Worlds, etc. You can imagine what would comprise a Death World. So hostile vegetation, indigenous wildlife.
Oh, it was a
that is
death
also
world? It's
hostile,
interesting.
Or a climate condition that is hostile. So essentially, it's a world you're going to die on by any manner of reasons that the world itself can create.
Yeah, good thing I recently watched a video on the Death Worlds, because I would have had no clue what he's talking about here.
So Caliban was once part of the former empire of
Caliban,
Land,
okay.
and as thus, it still has a lot of the technology from what is called the Dark Ages of technology. And it's funny because it's not the Dark Age of technology because it's bad. It's the Dark Age of technology because just like our Dark Ages, they forgot about all the fucking technology, so they don't know where it is anymore. So it was a
Yeah.
much more advanced time that they can't find. They keep finding these standard construction templates. They keep finding all these things from the Dark Age.
Yeah, so ruins of Caliban. So I guess Caliban was once like fortress world of humanity before it fell.
To technology that empowers and revitalizes the age that they're currently in. So it's really kind of this weird reverse fall of technology. It's kind of crazy, but as advanced as they all are. So imagine this kind of verdant world filled with castles, knights in this proto power armor. It's this power armor that precursors what they're used in the 30th millennium, the Mark
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 power armor, whichever one it is that time.
Okay. So is the armor they wear in the like the Astartes, is that from Caliban? Is that a technology they scavenged from there? Like that would be so cool.
With the precursors to bolt guns and chain swords, and they all ride these kind of enhanced horses, and they fight these chaos warped beasts that they call great beasts, and it's pretty metal, right?
What if they just fight chaos beasts on this planet for fun? I don't think it's for fun though. You can't tell me that. It's like probably they run around there because there's a warp breach that someone like no one found, and they just spawn from there infinitely, and they're just like, oh, guess the creatures come again. Let's kill them again.
So during this time, there was a lot of forearm grabbing, brother shouted in loud tones, riding off to war. That kind of like brother, very knightly orders. And so the older Index Astartes books didn't really overly describe this time. It just kind of says, oh, he landed on Caliban, he joined a knightly order, yada yada yada. Nothing.
Okay, so he joined the Knights Order. I remember him from the Primarchs video that he was like this knight guy, like this typical tropey knight dude with honor, but I guess there's a lot more to him because this is 40 minutes, but yeah, I think I remember the gist of his
really
stuff.
Extensive. But since the Horus Heresy has come out, the Horus Heresy series, we have a much better idea of what this time looked like in Alan
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
For 10 long, torturous years, Lion was in the forests of Caliban completely alone. I mean, he landed
Wow.
and boom, he's there. He's alone.
How old was he? Was he an infant? Like, was he an infant baby ripping apart chaos demons? That would be so rad. Oh, I would love to see that.
We don't find out until later in the timeline that this was really a time when he was constantly tempted and lured to the dark side,
Really?
the chaos corruption by the ruinous powers. And he tells
Wow.
Conrad Kurz, and Conrad Kurz is the primarch of the Night Lords, but later on that they inhabited his dreams, his thoughts, and were constantly
Wow.
beckoning him. And it's pretty crazy because no other
Wow.
primarch has really gone through that crucible of faith.
Wow, that is so awesome. Wow, that already is so cool. So he was tempted all the time. Reminds me a bit of a knight searching for the Holy Grail and being tempted into into darkness. Or like, that's so cool. So I guess like the Caliban or Calidan, whatever. No, that's from Dune. Caladan is Caladan? Whatever. Caliban is seems to be very close to the warp, as in it is a very thin barrier between those two. I really like that. That sounds so sick. And he was like, because he's a Primarch, and I assume the Primarchs in principle are psychic. I know there's this one dude that's really psychic who like crashed into the throne in the Horus Heresy. Sanguinius, I think, was it that one? I might have not have been that one, but I remember that vaguely. Yeah, so I guess he had an aptitude for hearing the voice of the dark, and he's just a baby, I assume. So, and he fended that off. That makes him, in principle, a very formidable, mentally strong person. I really like that. That alone is very, very nicely done as a story.
That Lion had to go through. And we'll talk about the Night Lords, Dark Lords dichotomy towards the end here. But this is definitely worth bringing up, because he even tells Conrad, when Conrad tries to tempt him later on down the line, he goes, hey, service is good enough for me. That's the reward I need. And even before he knew who the Emperor was, he was already turning his face away from this.
That's so cool. That's a pretty strong character trait. Yeah, that's nice.
And it's just it's a very interesting point because
I guess he thinks he knows what's right and is so. I have not seen it yet, and it might be wrong. So, but I'm just hypothesizing. He seems to be someone that is like Byakuya Kuchiki or a Galad from Wheel of Time. This person who always does the right thing, even if the right thing means to kill thousands of people. I think he's this kind of character, like this completely honorable guy, but the honor can be terrible. Terrifying,
while
terrible.
in the
This way
books
of
you're
terror.
reading it, you don't know a ton about it, and when you find out later in the history that he says, "Hey, these are the things that shaped me." But at the end of this time, Tsar Luther discovers the young boy and brings him back to the monastery of the Order, and there they
Okay.
name him Lion L. Johnson, or Lion, son of the forest. You know,
He's the son of the forest. Also, I like that the jungle forest, whatever. I imagine it being a jungle because he's called Lion. Don't know. It's might not have been a jungle, but that's what comes to my mind here. A jungle, and it parallels like this chaos as well. Like a jungle is also chaos, but not like this metaphysical chaos, but or whatever you say, or this transcendent chaos of the mind, but of nature. So I really like those parallels. So he basically grew up in chaos, like both in the physical and mental world, and saw that it was bad, and because he had this proclivity for honor, I guess. What an awesome
Johnson,
backstory already.
forest, whatever makes sense. The entirety of Caliban, though, is ruled over by this feudal system of knights. Hence
Okay.
the Tsar name, the Tsar title affixed to Luther. And there are multiple knightly orders, all of which have their own lords and knights and adjoining towns, so on and so forth.
Interesting. Yeah,
But they
okay.
go on these kind of grand hunts to kill these great beasts, these chaos beasts that inhabit the forest, and that the planet is primarily comprised of.
Wow,
The
yeah.
chief of these monsters, though,
Yeah, it seems to be so close to the warp somehow. It's so weird. I wonder why. I wonder if something happened before. Because we know this, so this is pure speculation. We know that, at least if he's correct here, which I assume he is, so Calidan was a high fortress world of humanity at its peak, and then Slanesh happened and they fell. So I guess Slanesh really hit this place hard. Like Slanesh's birth must have like really bam crushed into this here. And it's also I saw it on the map just now near the eye where Cadia also is, where also like Slanesh's birth seems to have. I don't know if it created this eye thing. I don't know what it was. Eye of Terror? Was it the Eye of Terror? It created that, I think, or it might have destabilized it more. So yeah, this area of space is very very close to the warp. I think that's so cool.
though,
Love
is the
it.
great Calibanitan lion, which look nothing like lions at all, save like a mane of razor sharp kind of spines that they shoot out from them and shoot them. Crazy. They almost, the book kind of describes them like manticores without
Oh,
wings,
okay. Interesting.
and not being like lions. It's kind of because their skin is like rock hard, scalish type. It's almost like a dragon mixed with a manticore. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, okay. So they call them lions. Like it's a reverse dragon thing, I guess. So my head can from now on will be like the lions on the planet are called lions because in the old lore, the old beasts were called lions. The same way as we today say, yeah, the old beasts were behemoth, leviathan, and the dragon, like basically dragon. So it's this thing in reverse. So they now take our animals that really existed and apply that to the new animals on other planets. I love that. It's so cool. Such
It's
a
safe to
great
say
idea.
Caliban is a veritable terror nest of grimdark Cthulhu baddies and chaos warp hell.
I love my
So,
Cthulhu baddies, you
after
know
being
it.
rescued and inducted into the Order, Lion quickly rose in the ranks until eventually becoming the supreme Grand Master of the Order.
So, did the Order have the same values as the Emperor, or did he have to change his values? Like, did his honor change? Because what is honor? How do you know what's honorable? You might say you intuitively know it, and he probably says that because in the forest there was no one to tell him what honor is, so he found his own honor. So I guess the honor of the people in the monastery and the caste system or the knights or whatever fell in line with the honor he already had, I guess. So the emperor's honor probably also fell in line with that. So they must have been similar. I don't think he would have like been like, "Oh, you've got another honor system? Yeah, I'm convinced." I don't think he's the type of guy.
Now, this is a repeating trend that we're going to see with a lot of the primarchs we're going to talk about. They come to maturation much faster than normal humans and can learn and process information much faster. They have
Yeah,
eidetic
of course.
memories,
Yeah.
all sorts of this crazy.
So eidetic memory is if you recall like facts literally, like if you can like if you read something once, then you know it forever, so to speak.
Easy stuff, and that's inherent in all Space Marines, but it's like turned up to 12 or primarchs, and like most primarchs, when they talk about when they fight, they're going faster than even space marines can keep up with, and they're like constantly cutting each other, and their wounds are knitting them like almost immediately. So they're pretty crazy beings, but they always excel to surpass their they always kind of manage to surpass their adoptive fathers, their surrogate fathers. And there's this really great point in Descent of Angels where Lion goes out to kill a Calibanite lion.
Yes.
And is ambushed, wounded, then eventually rounds about and kills it. And again, he's a Primarch, so he can kind of take quite a beating.
Yeah. So I would love to read that. Yeah, I was too slow to order the book on him. Like, I think there's a book, but it's not like available anymore. And I wanted to read that, but it might have been in that book. No, this is 5 years old. It can't have been in the book. So Descent of Angels sounds fun. But yeah, so he like basically like drew back, regenerated, and then effed it.
But he even counters the Watchers in the Dark, and at this time, and that's someone or
what is
something
that
we'll talk more about later. But it's worth bringing up that even this early in Lion's history, he encounters the Watcher of the Dark, which are these kind of robed, very enigmatic, mysterious figures that are quite powerful, but they're very.
Wow, that is so awesome. Why have I never heard of those? Watchers in the Dark. Oh man, that's so weird. I also called a monster in one of my horror stories, or a kind of monsters, the Watchers in the Night. So yeah, I like that theme.
Very,
I like
they
it.
allude to an even bigger power that they're not even really given form to in a lot of the lore or the books just yet. We know that they might be members of what is called the Cabal, which is this kind of grand cosmic force that works against chaos at whatever the cost may be.
Cabal. I've never heard of those before in all the lore videos, and I've been doing this now for a year almost. Crazy, I know. Almost a year I'm doing these, and with some gaps, I know, but I've never heard of Cabal, I think. So there is an anti-chaos organization that's, yeah.
But they play a larger role in the end of Lion's kind of story here. But they're worth bringing up here. But this is where the first seeds of jealousy start to crop up in Luther, his surrogate father, and as he's pretty.
I see. So Luther, I'm sorry, I did not get it. So the Primarchs surpass the surrogate fathers, but the surrogate fathers seem to be people that like are in line with what their nature is driving them to be, I guess, perhaps.
Jealous of how far the lion has come in such a short amount of time. You know, he's killed a Calibanite lion, which takes a whole order to go and kill.
Wow.
He did it almost single-handedly.
Yeah, that's so badass.
To the rank of Supreme Grand Master, well above even Luther. Luther is now his right hand, even though Luther's older than him, technically.
Yeah, I mean, that does not matter, man. Like, age is, yes, the older you are, like, normally the wiser, not always, of course, but like that's the trend. But yeah,
there's a lot of a lot of resentment going on here, but the two really complement each other. You know, that they work very well despite this kind of mounting rift, and it's really important to note how that kind of works out with their personalities. Lion is this cold, calculated, and tactical. While
he's Piagria. I see it's like Piagria.
You know, and it's pretty crazy because Luther kind of like nails it. He says, "Hey, you know, you kind of seem removed from everyone, like you're a step above."
But he is in a way. The Primarchs were created to be better.
And in the book, here's a little.
If you go with that as above.
What it must be like to be so, and this is the lion saying it, kind of like reflecting exactly on what Luther says. Imagine what it must be like to be so singular a creature, knowing that you are alone and that there will never be more of you. These beasts were not driven by hunger, they are insane, driven to madness by their own uniqueness.
Wow, that is so cool. Driven to insanity by your own uniqueness. What a line is that? Who writes that? That's so awesome.
About the great beasts of Caliban. But he's basically saying, like, yeah, you're kind of right, Luther. I am kind of removed from people because it's because I don't know how to really relate to them. I feel like I am removed. And a lot of the same
because he's not a person, like he's not a man, like a human per se. Yeah.
Emperor of Man feels when we hear about the Emperor's voice from the book The Emperor of Mankind. But Luther, on the other hand, is charismatic. He's boisterous. He's brave. He's a leader of men. And so both men have a very strict code of honor and conduct that they follow.
Yeah.
They're knights after all. But these two kind of use each other's personality traits to fill the gaps that the others have created.
That's so
why
cool,
a
actually.
lion
I really like
can't
that.
necessarily rouse all the orders to his banner in a kind of charismatic way. Luther can. So that's really what
That's
happens.
cool,
Luther and Lion
yeah.
unite the entire planet, all of them falling under the order,
But what are they gonna do? The beasts are gonna come. Like, are they gonna come forever?
quote unquote. That's what it's called. That's the name of this knightly order. Is the order kind of original, right? To eradicate all the great beasts on the planet, as well as the Order of Lupus, and that they go to eradicate the Order of Lupus here because
Order of Lupus, the Order of the Wolf. Why? What is the Order of Lupus?
it's another knightly order that actually is using the beasts to their own means.
Oh.
So like, no. You're corrupted. You're going down. So
Yeah,
they
against the
basically,
honor.
take out everything. They take out. They eliminate the threat of these beasts, which is kind of resided over this planet for a good deal of time. They were not
Yeah, for more than 5,000 years, I guess.
the Order of Lupus at the same time. But shortly after this, the Emperor of Man lands on Caliban.
Wow,
He
that's
finds
so
that the
cool.
leader of the planet was none other than his lost son and master of the First Legion, Lionel Johnson.
That's so cool.
So Lionel Johnson then renames the Legion after a Caliban myth, and Luther actually outright says it as soon as he sees the assault packs of these Space Marines kind of fall.
So I would love to see that scene, the Emperor coming down and seeing his lost son, and his lost son be like, there's finally someone like me. And then down the line, he probably realizes that's not the case because everyone is unique or something. But
descent on the earth, he says, and the angels of darkness descended upon pinions of fire and light, the great and terrible dark angels. So Lionel Johnson then names him after this Caliban myth.
The Dark Angels. Dark Angels, that's a scary phrase. That sounds horrific. Like, because normally angels are this, of course, this divine thing. And I know that they're like, have you seen the real angel photos or pictures? Jesus Christ, they're so scary, but they're still a force of good, at least in the myths. And the Dark Angels is like this almost godly power that's out to kill you. I love the name.
The Dark Angels.
Love it.
This is where things get pretty dicey in the hierarchy of the order. To become a Space Marine, you have to be under a certain age for your body to be able to sustain the growth triggered by the gene seeds and all the surgery that introduces all the new organs, etc., into the body. So,
yeah, right. They get new organs. That's so weird.
This was obviously not the case with a lot of the older members of the order, including, of course, Luther.
Oh.
They were instead genetically enhanced, sort of these kind of demi-space marines. And this is the same treatment Cor Ferron received in the
Interesting.
Another kind of surrogate father to another Primarch.
Yeah, so they can't live up to their sons. But that's the point. Sons are supposed to succeed their fathers one day. At least in stories, it's always the case. Like, that's the thing. The son is to succeed the father or the mother. That's a very, very old theme, I think, and I like it.
There's a lot of talk at this point, right before the Great Crusade gets going, about how the Mechanicum essentially levels mountains and forests to make way for the progress of all this necessary accoutrement of a Space Marine founding planet.
How are they doing that? Do they use like the things they also use for exterminators, or is it another technology that they then forgot in time?
So you see a lot of these knights kind of lamenting, like, I remember before this, we didn't have all this kind of fire and industry come to our lands and level everything. So this kind of builds some resentment. This leaves a bitter taste in a lot of the older knights' mouths.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that, like, there are these beasts running around on your planet. They're like corrupted, evil, chaos things. You slay them. You beat the people that use them to attack you and to get power. And you finally win against those chaos beings. And then this asshole comes from the sky and says, you know what? I'm just going to build many factories on your planet. I'm going to reshape it to my liking. I don't care what you do. Oh, yeah, and your grandmaster, he's on our side. He's fine with that. So all you did is, like, you did not fight for the... Like, so the world they wanted came, and they managed it, but it was immediately shed on by the Emperor and Lionel. Yeah, I see why they could be resentful. That's awesome. Yeah, of course they are.
And this kind of further cements those seeds of discontent as they kind of blossom more and more as more of this unfolds. But a young knight, Zahariel, he foils a plot by some of the more zealous knights that we were
Zahariel, that also seems angelic.
just talking about to destabilize the plans of growth and assassinate the emperor. So Zahariel kind of steps in and essentially rats them out. So this
Okay,
kind of
at least one.
quells the resistance on Caliban. And after that, Lionel Johnson sets out to the stars with both.
I love that phrase. And then we set out to the stars. Like, that's such a powerful thing. I think we will one day venture to the stars, as Carl Sagan so well said long ago. But yeah, I think we will as well. If we do not destroy ourselves. He was right on that as well. I love that. Do you know this song, Carl Sagan? It's a song they recut. I think the Rising of the Universe, something it's called. It's very, very cool.
Both his surrogate
Should
and his
listen to
gene
that.
brother, so Luther
It's very
and
cool.
the Emperor. The Dark Angels quickly become a figurehead amongst the other legions as an idyllic.
I will
legion.
put it in the description of the
This
video.
rigid
the song.
hierarchy, just like there was in their order, this discipline and very effective tactics. This was the very first legion created by the Emperor, so they really had a lot of clout here. They were
So why? I mean, probably just logistically because he found him first. Was he found first? Why would it be the first legion? Or what? Like, was he found first? Because I think the Italian guy here, whatever he's called, he said in the beginning that he was not found first. So why is he the first legion? Because the emperor trusts his sense and honor, and he thinks that's the most important thing.
were used as more or less the standard of how a legion, of how a effective tactical force should be. And they were broken up into 6 hosts, all with different specializations. There was the Dread Wing, which was kind of focused on total war, all aspects of fighting.
Yeah, Total War. I still have to play those games.
From the Space Marines. The Storm Wing, which was focused more on assault-based Marines and the such.
Yeah, I
the Raven
see.
Wing, which was more of a motorized kind of heavy attack bikes and bikes of many variations.
I still think bikes are not the best way to move if you've got hovercraft and stuff. Though I think they don't have that. I know the Tau have, but
Iron Wing, which is their armored.
yeah, they're all called wings
So fun.
because they're dark angels. So, wait, did he say 6? 6 hosts? Yeah, Seraphim have 6 wings. Oh, that's so awesome! What a great detail. Man, I love this lore so much. That's why I love Warhammer lore. Like the details, like it's the 6 wings of the angel.
Funny. The Fire Wing, which was again actually unknown. We don't know a ton about what.
It's probably
inspires
artillery
the
and
Fire
stuff.
Wing. I would assume it has something to do with both plasma and or fire or melted technology. And lastly, the Death Wing, the elite
Death Wing.
Terminator-filled wing of the.
Isn't Deathwing also this one game? I have that game. I've not played it yet. Still not played it yet. If you want me to do a little let's play, I can do that. Like I can, because I've got it on my PlayStation and I can record it. Some play. If you are interested in that, let me know. Yeah. So the Deathwing, or I think it is a space rock that's called Deathwing. So it might not have anything to do with this, or it might be the remains of what was the squad or host or whatever it's called.
Of the wing, the host of the Legion. In fact, we only ever see after the Horus Heresy, we only see the Raven Wing and the Death Wing remain. The other wings kind of get dismantled
Wow.
and forgotten about because they get inducted into the other 2.
Oh,
But as
okay.
Lion
Why?
waged his war, he was pulled to the planet of Sarash to replace the white scars there. And
Sorash. White Scars, are those also? Is that also Legion? Probably is, and I forgot it.
the Saroshi government was kind of saying, "Oh yeah, no, we're ready to comply. Let's negotiate. Let's fall into compliance. Let's become part of the Imperium."
Yeah, what's he gonna do now?
This was a ruse, a farce. So after they board the ship that both the Emperor and the Lion are on, the Saroshi Lord High Executor exchanges some not so pleasant words. So the ruler of the Soroshi. And as time has really told us, Space Marines are not ones to take insults on the other cheek when it comes to their master of the golden toilets.
Oh god. Exterminatus time?
So Lion splits this dude in two, from groin to chin, as soon as he
Okay, I mean, or you do that.
starts uttering insults at the Emperor.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the real kicker is that he had brought a nuke with him on the ship, something that Luther and the aforementioned Zariel that we've talked about earlier discover. Now, Zariel's a pretty consummate Dark Angel, or a pretty consummate Space Marine in general.
Why did he
He's
bring the
embroiled
nuke?
in all these kind of shitty side plots, and it's because of his naivete and his willingness to really do good. So Luther, on the other hand, has to be kind of talked off the edge by Zariel, and Luther is eventually convinced to jettison that nuke outside of the ship, and it detonates outside in space, causes minor damage to the ship, not a big deal.
Yeah. I don't know how much damage a nuke would do in space. I think the most dangerous thing about it is the electromagnetic radiation it emits, I think. Because I think, as far as I know, nukes emit that. And I don't know what nuke it is. If it's a fusion or fission nuke. It's probably a fusion nuke. At least that. Perhaps enhanced with some isotopes and stuff we don't know yet that are sci-fi to make it stronger. So yeah, it might damage the ship's hull, but also its shields, I think. And shield generators, some stuff like that.
But this really kind of does minor damage to the ship, but it does major damage to the relationship between Lion and Luther. He sends Luther back to Caliban with the rest of his forces. Like, I think it's something like.
Oh, perhaps I misunderstood that. I'm not that sure. So I got it like this. So Lionel brought the nuke to nuke the planet, and they like threw it out of the ship so they wouldn't nuke the planet, I guess. What?
I want to say it's like 500 Dark Angels or something like that. And tells them, okay, hey, you are sent back there in shame. You go recruit for the Legion. And this would really be the last time these two talk as brothers. You know, a conversation in action that the Lion eventually he confesses to this actually being a big regret of his, because he kind of there's a lot of kind of a split in his brain. Like, yes, he does this as one part punishment, but as another part, like, I trust you to imbue the vision of the Legion going forward. And
I see. Nicely done. So, I love that it's not only punishment, but also that he regrets it. That there is some doubt in his mind, but in the end, he will still choose the thing he thinks is honorable. I still didn't get the nuke part. Explain that to me in the comments, like in 2 or 3 sentences, perhaps. But I guess he was, in a way, like his intentions were not hurt. I'm sorry, the word is missing. His intentions were not done justice, let's say, like that, by Luther. And yeah, interesting. Also, if he loses Luther, he will lose something that made him the leader of his planet. So he's only Space Marine now. He's lost a part of the Knight Order he had. Interesting. Like,
I'm sure it was
metaphorically
not conveyed that way, because the Lion is a very taciturn dick of an individual. So I'm sure it was like, hey, you go back there. You're in trouble. You go in that corner, mister. Rather than being like, hey, I'm sending you back here because you pissed me off, but also because I know you are the best man for the job. Had that.
Sometimes you should do it like that. Sometimes you should be honest, like, and be a bit diplomatic still.
Had it happened, I'm sure it would have gone a lot differently. But amongst a few other kind of exploits here, and I don't want to get into too many of the little nitty-gritty of what happens in the Horus Heresy. I mainly want to stick along what happens with Lionel Johnson, even despite some of his kind of covert little side missions that happen. But before the Horus Heresy breaks out, Lionel Johnson is kind of not the best of friends with Lehman Russ. In current day,
Lehman Russ, it's also Primarch. I know that much.
40k lore, the Space Wolves and the Dark Elves really, Dark Angels.
Space Wolves, okay.
Now that I've said every single race, hate each other, and there's this time where they're willing to fight together, but it's mostly begrudgingly, and it's really for the greater good. They even have honor duels each time both armies need to share the field. So it's kind of like, hey, remember that time that our primarchs fought? You're best champion, and my best champion. We're gonna duke it out, and it's gonna be just like the same thing.
Okay, so the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves hate each other because the Primarchs fought.
I'm going to wear a really
Why?
cool wolf headdress, and you're going to have wings on your head. But essentially, on the planet of Dulan, the leader called Leman Russ the Emperor's lapdog. And this promptly pissed off the Space Thane, and he went in for a thorough ass-kicking. But before Leman Russ could even get there, Lionel Johnson teleported to the leader's chamber and executed him right as Russ showed up.
Oh no, he stole his kill. I mean, I guess, yes. Why did he teleport in?
And you know Russ is all about grudges, kind of like the Dawi, and he's all about honor. So this broke out into a fist fight that ended in Johnson tossing Russ through a table.
That's so cool. So they just were like, yeah, F you, mate. No, F you, mate.
And, you know, Russ being this kind of space Viking kind of stood up and was laughing it off. He's like, this was ridiculous. Look at us. We're brothers. We're fighting over this. This is silly.
That's cool. I like that.
Lionel Johnson did not take it that way. He took it as, oh, you're mocking me. Screw you. Punches Russ, knocks him
Oh, he misunderstood the laugh. That's cool. I like misunderstandings that make sense.
out cold, takes the Space Marines, leaves the entire system.
That's what we call a dick move in bird culture.
That's another bad taste in Russ's mouth. So that kind of begets their whole feud, their whole issue with each other. Now, there's one other thing before we really get into the meat of the Horus Heresy. The Lionel Johnson was passed up for title of the War Master, and that's kind of a bit of contention for him because he saw himself as the most likely to be the War Master.
Okay, so War Master is probably the right hand of the Emperor, I guess, and the leader of all the legions, and like the supreme commander, so to speak, of the legions. Like, is Horus the one who got it?
Oh, in fact, he was surprised that it wasn't even Sanguinius, because they always say Sanguinius is the most like the Emperor in so many ways, even in embodiment and
interesting.
in actual physicality.
Yeah, I need to do a Sanguinius video, I think. If you want me to do a Sanguinius video of this guy, tell me. Because I can't do Ember King because he's having copyrighted material. I'm sorry. I would love to do it. I've listened to some of the stuff. It was awesome, but you know, it's what it is. It's YouTube.
He didn't take it poorly, but he didn't take it well. He wasn't like, oh, you know what? Horus deserves it. Good job on him. He was
Okay,
like,
it's Horus. Okay, yeah.
Well, okay,
that's what I
the
thought.
Emperor wants. You know, just kind of that bitter stepchild kind of attitude. But it causes a lot of weird tension between Horus and the Lion, who weren't like firm friends to begin with. But and that's another important fact. Lion's not a friend with anyone for the most part. We talked about how he's
I got the feeling as well. He's a lone like a lone wolf in a way. Yeah.
He's one step above people and kind of removed from the equation.
I think he's not thinking outside of the box enough to be the War Master, perhaps. Perhaps that's the reasoning behind it. Because like he's predictable with the honor stuff a bit, perhaps. Don't know.
Sanguinius might be the only one who can really even talk to him on somewhat of an equal footing, and Sanguinius can do that with almost any Primarch. He's like
I need
everyone's best
Sanguinius
friend next to Horus.
Until he crashed into the temple.
If it's like Horus is like everyone's meaner older
Oh
brother.
yeah, there is Horus.
Just has some tough love.
I think he's the one with the eyes.
Everyone really likes and always wants to talk to. But the War Master thing kind of didn't sit well with him. So when the Horus Heresy breaks out and Isstvan 5 happens, or Isstvan 3, then Isstvan 5 happens, the Lion is already kind of a little like, oh, okay, yeah, see, told you guys. Told you.
I told you should have made me the War Master, you idiot. Yes.
Horus would do all this action. So he kind of gets involved with the Night Haunter, with Conrad Kurz, with the Night Lords. And he doesn't have a direct interface with the Emperor like a lot of the Primarchs don't get that. They don't get to help the Emperor in the Holy Seat of Terra because of the machinations of the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, because something with the war was there that stalled them.
Horus has brought a whole half of the Legion onto his side to fight, or I'm sorry, a whole half of the legions to fight in his name. And he dispatches Conrad Kurz to keep the Lionel Johnson away from Terra.
And Kurz was the one who fought Lionel.
This
wow.
begins what's called the Thermos Crusade. in Sagulasa, and that's really soon to become the Night Lord's home. The Lion and Conrad Kurz kind of have this parlays where they talk things over, because they had been having this kind of skirmishing back and forth.
Oh, I see.
Nothing really kind of coming of it.
But is Curse then evil already, or is he just following Horus because he misunderstood something?
They go on this.
I don't
way to
remember
kind
that.
of
I think I
talk
should
things
know
out.
it.
And on the planet, they are accompanied by their honor guard. There's Alejos and Corswain for the Lion, and there's Shang and Sevatar to Conrad Kurz. But both get in this kind of brutal melee. They immediately get to exchanging blows, and it's written out by Aaron Dembski Bowden in one of his many Night Lord books. But
Okay, so they were going at it. Is Lionel the strongest Primarch physically? I don't know.
he goes into pretty much like the very eloquent way in which Conrad Kurz is very aware of his, I guess you could say, shortcomings as this kind of super being that's meant for war. He calls himself a savage weapon. It's really kind of like ooh. He's like, savage weapons, one and all, too dangerous to be wielded without cost.
That's so
all his show
cool.
will see of us. Like he's this very kind of dark.
I love the ship design so much.
sinister
Reminds me of the
individual,
Prometheus
because he
from
knows
Stargate.
his fate. He knows,
But more badass.
what he is. And Lionel Johnson and him getting this brutal melee, and Conrad almost chokes out Lion before Corswain eventually stabs Kurz through the back, and
Wow, really? He lost that?
Alejos is killed by Sevatar trying to hold off the two
Wow, that must have sucked.
Night Lord honor guard. So it's this very terrible moment here, where the two Primarchs have to be literally pried apart from each other and dragged back to their respective legions to kind of sit down and say, "Hey guys, you gotta stop." But both legions
Why? I thought Cruz was on Horus' side. Why do they have to stop? He said he was on Horus' side.
kind of fight.
Or were they like, yeah, we should like go against Horus, and they were like not not in one opinion. Sorry, word is missing me. In one opinion on what to do exactly, and that's why they fought.
In this bloody stalemate all throughout 3-5 years or so in this crusade. And around this time, Lion does a lot of things on the side. You know, he reinstates Librarius, and this directly
Who's
conflicts
that?
with the Edict of Nicaea. And this is an edict that the emperor kind of said, "Hey, I forbid the use of psychers because it'll draw demons." No.
Oh, I don't know if your psychers are trained well. Perhaps that's like you should be able to use psychers if they're stronger than the demons, or weren't they? Were they not stronger? What did he do to Sanguinius then? Like, because Sanguinius was a psyker, like the most powerful one, I think, in the universe, in the galaxy. Iffy on that, but that's what I think I remember.
But the Lion eventually finds out that the only way to fight demons on equal ground is with psychers. So he kind of reinstates him and says, "This is a necessary evil. I'm sorry." But it was just
See, that's again for the greater good, a bit Tau-like.
very rare for someone who would unflinchingly follow the Emperor's word unto death. But that's just kind of a side thing that's worth.
But I think that's important to know. It might just be a side thing, but I'm thankful that he put it in, because it shows that he will do what's necessary to he will go against the Emperor if he thinks the right thing will be done then. Yeah, it's the thing. He will always do the right thing, no matter what it costs. That's
Bringing
the
up, because
character I
it's a
think he
very
is. I like these
character-breaking moment
characters.
of
They
Lion.
can be very
Eventually,
interestingly
the
written.
Lion kind of launches this devastating surprise attack on the Night Lords, and he utilizes
Yeah, it
the,
seems to
Xenos
be
piece of
that.
technology called the
Yeah, it seems to be like they are fighting. Like, I think Cruz is on Horus' side. Why did they try to talk then? Like, just go at it, each other. And perhaps they were like trying to convince the other to join their side. I guess that's reasonable.
Tuchulcha. And there's a whole side story about how he gets the Tuchulcha. And again, that's
What is
not
that
really worth bringing
technology,
up 'cause it doesn't go
Tuchulcha?
into a ton about who he is as a person. There's a whole side story about him interacting with Perturabo, about some certain siege pieces.
Perturabo was also Primarch. I know that.
Again, not overly important to Lion as a whole. So I have neglected those and left those out. If you do know of those stories, that's why I left those out. But this effectively broke the back of the Night Lords. Lion destroys
Wow.
a fourth of the entire legion and mortally wounds Kurz.
Wow.
And there's
Yes, so then he won. I would have loved to see that.
this really cool part in the books where it talks about how Kurz is basically like interred on this med table, kind of holding on to life, and Sevatar uses his latent psychic abilities to shock him back to life.
Wow.
And they go and basically ram the Dark Angel's flagship.
Wow.
It's a pretty crazy moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would love to know about that. How viable is it to ram ships with your ship? I probably am only talking about this because I hate Star Wars Episode 8 that they did that with like the hyperdrive jumping through a ship was such rubbish and world breaking. So but the thing is, normally you should be able to do it. I was just mad in Star Wars because it was never done before, and now it changes stuff. And why didn't they do that before? Like, it undermined a lot of the story. Anyway, I won't talk about Star Wars here, of course. It's not a Star Wars video. And I don't do those at the moment. But I think it should, like, that's one of the best things you can do, like ram stuff. Like, the only thing that should be standing against you is shields that disintegrate you, like that vaporize you, and still the momentum is carried over, even like because energy has momentum as well. Like, if you accelerate something like to high enough speeds and ram it into something, even if it disintegrates through crashing into a shield, there's still momentum carried onto that. So yeah, man. Don't know what they have to deflect against that normally, so it makes sense. And I don't even know if they have shields. I don't think they have. I know they have Gala shields, but that's against the warp. So I think they are. So projectiles are probably the best thing. Anyway, weird tangent.
The Atramentar, which are the elite terminators of the Night Lords, they all storm the Invincible Reason, the Dark Angel flagship. And they're going through everything, trying to find Lionel Johnson and kill him, because Kurz is pretty pissed off that he was dealt quite a mortal blow.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But Lionel's just going to slaughter them, isn't he?
And eventually they actually end up getting captured by the Dark Angels as they whittle apart all of the attacking force. So basically, you've got these imprisoned Night Lords on the Invincible Reason, and you've got the Night Haunter, you've got Conrad Kurz himself, who has stashed himself now in the bowels of the Invincible Reason, just kind of.
Yeah, like he's like probably bleeding out somewhere. The ships are interlocked. I like that scenario. That would be such a cool visual. So
the Lion goes on like this 6-week hunt trying to find Kurz with his ship.
It's so cool. It's just like, hunting is on the menu now. I killed the weird beast things on my home planet. Now we're going to kill some Night Lords. Let's go, mates. On them.
So they land in the Imperium Secundus. So there's this large ruin storm that's raging across the entire galaxy, and it's preventing people from getting back to Terra. It's cutting
that's the warp storm I was talking about.
Them off. The light of the Astronomicon is hindered, and that's what's guides people back home. So the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, and the Ultramarines kind of rallied together at Imperium Secundus, which is essentially Macragge,
Second
which
Imperium.
is the home of Ultramar, the capital.
Yeah. Macragge is the Ultramar capital. I remember that before it was overrun by the Tyranids, but this is 5,000 years before that. So yeah, very nice. Yeah, Imperium Secundus was the Imperium, like the second Imperium, second Imperium they created, if I recall correctly. I mean, he basically said that. I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to recap it for myself here.
Ultramar, which is of course the system of the Ultramarines, and in this, the Lion is made the Lord Protector.
Oh, so he is the leader here.
Or instances where the Night Haunter actually gets off of the Invincible Reason and starts harassing Macragge and starts doing a lot of things where he almost outright kills the Lion and outright kills it's really hard to pronounce his name for me, Robbie Gooley, so I'm going to call him
Robbie Gooley?
Robert Guilliman.
So Robert Gilliman. I think it's Robert Gilliman.
And he almost kills both of them. But what happens is the Lion kind of gets crazed and incensed and dedicated to killing off the Night Haunter, and there's a lot of back and forth action here. He ends up capturing him at one point, brings him to this whole trial of the triumvirate. What's he call it?
Why do you put him to trial, probably because he's his brother, but man, he fell to chaos. Like, what are you doing? Kill him. Like, you're honorable. Isn't it the right thing to do?
Is what it's called, with all three primarchs there. He's got to be dealt with.
I like that. Triumvirate is something they had in ancient Rome. Triumvirate, I think it was who was it? It was Caesar was in it. Caesar, Brutus, and someone else. I don't know, but there was a triumvirate in Rome, ancient Rome. So they have that from there as well again. Like, the Roman influences are so awesome. I need to really read out on Roman history a bit. Tell me if you want me to do a reaction to some Roman history videos. I know it's random. I don't know if you want to see that. I don't know.
And the Night Lord kind of defends his stance pretty well here, and
he does.
They say, hey, you gotta go, Lion. You've done too much. You've gone insane with this. So
no, he has not. Why are you convinced by him? He's evil. I probably, what missing is here is me reading this. Like, I can't tell if this, like,
kind of exile Lionel Johnson, the other two primarchs, and he comes back at the last minute, right before they're about to execute Conrad, and says, hey, if he can see the future, which Conrad does have that ability, and he sees that he dies at the hands of an assassin sent by the Emperor, then the Emperor's alive, and we are now all heretics.
Why? Oh, because they proclaimed themselves the Second Empire. But I don't get the vision. Like, don't get the chain of reasoning here, but it probably made sense in the books. It's just not that well explained by him here. But I guess he's doing this off the top of his head, so he's doing a good job for that, and he really gives me some stuff to think about. Yeah, my daughter's again sleeping on my lap, so you will hear her a bit. I'm sorry, but she's so cool hearing about him, about Lionel Johnson, isn't it? Yes, it is. Can't wait for her to one day paint some miniatures with me. But now she's like 3 months old and sleeping on my lap. Anyway, let's go.
Basically, what he tells the other two primarchs who go, oh, you're right. And
oh, you're right.
Sanguinius has premonitions as well. Sanguinius goes, you're right too. I know I'm supposed to die a totally different way. What am I thinking?
I'm supposed to die a wholly different way? That's not uplifting. You're gonna die. You see it.
So that's the abridged version of what happens. It's a much more drawn out and obviously more expansive situation. But what happens from then on is that Sanguinius and the Ultramarines try to make a break for Terra.
Yeah.
And of course, the Blood Angels get there in not their entirety, but Sanguinius gets there enough to aid the Emperor in
the Emperor
in kind of the final fight, and we'll go into Sanguinius's hand in that when we get to Sanguinius. But Dark Angels go on this kind of crusade of their own, and they go and attack every single homeworld of all of these heretics.
Yeah, someone told me that's so good. Like, Lionel's just like, no, not gonna do this anymore. F them all.
And they eradicate them.
Yeah.
That's why you don't hear anything about these the Traitor Legions going back to their homeworld and their fully established systems. No, they went and waged their own war and destroyed everything.
Wow.
So for the most part, they did their own kind of behind the scenes work, and that's very indicative of the Dark Angels. They are very behind the scenes.
I like them though. They probably crushed them enough so they wouldn't pose a threat again. I know Chaos Marines are a threat, but not the threat they would have been if he didn't do that, I guess. I think.
But eventually, Lionel Johnson goes to make his way back to Caliban. And remember, at Caliban, Luther is there. Luther is waiting. Luther has been supposedly rebuilding the Legion, sending new recruits out.
Yes.
But the second they get into the system, they're immediately shot on. Immediately.
Because Luther has fallen to chaos? Because of the jealousy? I mean, is there who would jealousy be? What chaos god would that be? Or is that its own thing?
And we haven't gotten to this point in the Horus Heresy, so we don't know how expansive this is going to get. But from the older stories and older codexes, we know that this breaks out in this giant orbital warfare.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Is trying to bring Lionel Johnson down. Lionel Johnson is smashing apart the defenses of Caliban. And
yeah, so he has to smash his own homeworld as well. Kind of ironic, but I like it.
He gets onto the planet, and Luther and Lionel Johnson have this titanic melee, this giant
Yeah,
kind of fighting
that
that very
sounds
much
so
echoes
badass.
the Emperor and Horus. And
Wow.
eventually Luther
But the other way around, I guess here Lionel wins and the Emperor
kind of
does.
uses a psychic ability or some sort of ability that mortally wounds Lionel Johnson. And
Oh,
in doing so,
does.
this kind of releases a haze from him because he's been corrupted by chaos wholly now. He's been empowered by chaos to the point where he can actually reach Lionel Johnson's level. So he is on that same kind of Primarch level.
Oh, yeah, Luther, through his jealousy, has been corrupted by chaos. And it also makes sense because the planet is prone to chaos. That is brilliant writing.
Something we see here.
Brilliant writing. Really good. Really well done. Like that. Also makes sense why he's so strong now. They probably also focused their efforts, like the Chaos Gods, like instinctively probably focused their corruption on him here because they were, and they tried before with Lionel to corrupt him, the Chaos Voices. So now they got to Luther, like next man in line. Why not? Why not try it with him? And they succeeded because of the jealousy, which I love. It's so well done. And yes, it parallels the horror stuff, but reversed. Here it is the son, and there it was the father. Like the emperor's the father, and he's the son. But brilliant stuff. I love that.
As a repeating motif across the Horus heresy, Horus is ascended to the level that he can now compete with the God Emperor.
Yeah.
After, well, there's a whole side thing about that. I'll go that into Horus's video because it's a really cool part about what causes that. But with Luther and Lionel Johnson, this releases this haze from Luther where he's like, oh my God, what have I done? And Lionel Johnson kind of gets
Okay, and the haze clears, and then he can think clearly again. That's so cool. So you can, with psychic powers, repel the chaos from a person again. I guess
the rest of the
that's so
monastery
sad.
fighting and falls over both of them, and Caliban is constantly bombarded by the Dark Angels
Yeah.
fleet to the point where the whole entire planet starts to crack and fall
Yeah, so it's basically exterminatus, even though they didn't call it that.
apart, and not really explodes, but just kind of destroys itself. And
the core gets unstable, I guess. So what would, like, from a science perspective, what would happen? What could they do? They probably deposited, like, if you fire enough energy into the planet, you, like, if it's really high energy and you somehow get it deposited into the core, it's probably gonna, like, go into overdrive and just melt everything.
the Dark Angels find Luther, and he's kind of mumbling to himself in madness, saying that the Watchers in the Dark took Lionel Johnson. They'll have him they'll bring him back at the end times, which is
Wow, that's so cool. The Watchers in the Dark again. Are they a trans-temporal agency, like, or trans-temporal thing, society that tries to fight chaos all through time? Perhaps sounds a bit like that.
again, something we're going to see with a lot of these Primarchs is the Arthurian legend of when they need him most, he shall cometh back. And it's gonna happen, I promise, guys. He's not the first to hear about this.
Oh, he predicted that 5 years ago. Give him some likes. If you haven't yet, give him some likes. Go to this video, give him some likes. He predicted. Others might have as well, but great.
And the Watchers in the Dark take Lionel Johnson, blow what is called the Rock, what is the largest piece of Caliban left, which becomes a fortress monastery of the Dark Angels, and it's fitted with warp engines so it can actually traverse the galaxy.
It's so cool. I love that. Like it's a meteorite. It's an asteroid with engines. I love that.
But deep down in the Rock resides Lionel Johnson. And the big secret behind the Dark Angels is that they did have a schism, that they did have a betrayal, where Luther led a portion of the Legion against
it's splintered.
So this is a secret that is suppressed from the rest.
So name the rock segmentum obscurus, sector variable. So yes, sector and subsector various, of course. Reference, I don't know. And it's in Astartes fortress. Governor, Grand Master Azrael. Interesting, also demon. To be a saint, be not an angel. Wow, that's such an awesome line as well. I'm sorry, I'm just marveling at this picture again. Dark Angels chapter, Adeptus Astartes. Yeah.
of the
To
Imperium.
be a
No one
saint,
knows
be
about
not
this.
an angel.
That's like as you climb the ranks of the Dark Angels, you start to find out more and more and more. You're given more as you include yourself into different circles.
That's cool,
Those
yeah.
circles are actually from the Knightly Orders as well. So this is that origin kind of seeping into their Legion as a whole, their Space Marine chapter as a whole. But
Nice.
what we find out here is that as the higher you go up, the more they say, okay, well, hey, now that you're Grandmaster of the chapter, the lion may or may not be dead in stasis somewhere, may or may not be dead somewhere in stasis below the rock. But don't tell me, you son of a bitch.
That's so funny.
Only the chapter master knows that. And it's kind of like...
So they became a chapter? Were they that decimated?
With Robo Gilliman of the Robo Girly Man, as I've also heard. The Ultramarines, he's in stasis, kind of like waiting. And
wow, he also predicted that. Wow, it's so awesome.
we know that he's now come back to life in the 8th edition.
So no, okay, so he just came back. Yeah.
We'll see him here with the 8th edition. I've heard a lot of rumors. I've seen some suspected army lists and stats of him coming back to life. Maybe we'll see Sanguinius. Who knows? Maybe even Lehman Russ. But a lot of the loyalist primarchs had very enigmatic and mysterious deaths.
I like that. They can come back, and I like also what he said about the Arthurian legend. It fits. And I think in the Arthur legend, I think it's only Arthur he is brought to Avalon and is supposed to return in times of need. I think that's the thing.
Deaths that were just kind
Doesn't have a happy ending.
We need him, I promise. So maybe we're going to see that with Lionel Johnson. So one thing I do want to cover before we end our video here is the kind of dichotomy between the Night Lords and the Dark Angels. There's a lot of parallels. The Dark Angels are all about justice and duty.
Yeah.
On the other end of that coin, the Night Lords are about justice being inflicted through fear, whereas obviously the Dark Angels are inflicted through martial.
Yeah, structure versus fear. Still, yeah. I think we did Night Lords a bit, wasn't that with the slums in the vampire city?
Law for the most part. Like they actually inflict martial law upon a planet of Macragge just to go and find Ultramar, just to go and find Conrad Kurz. So they're very much about this militant kind of disciplined approach to justice, and things are very black and white, it almost seems.
Yeah.
But with the Night Lords, of course, it's all about fear and fear mongering and terror.
Yeah, I remember that.
The Night Haunter and and Lionel Johnson fight a whole lot. They fight a ton, but it's kind of funny that they both kind of have this kind of similar end. Conrad Kurz goes back to his home and sees the same kind of, not necessarily the same kind of thing, but almost like a betrayal of the founding notions of the Legion, and
I remember that.
Destroys his homeland. He destroys.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes. We did that. We did the reaction.
Destroys his entire home planet. So it's a very interesting kind of end to both of these legions that kind of.
Who wrote that? I love this so much.
Heresy. It's very interesting. The Dark Angels now have this dark past that they have to atone for. They call themselves the Unforgiven. This is the name that they've given to
brilliant stuff.
The rest of their successor chapters. And they essentially have to find the fallen angels. These are the angels that followed Luther during his kind of grand betrayal of the Dark Angels, of the chapter itself, of the Legion itself. So the librarians of the Legion are actually charged with getting the repentance of these fallen angels. And one of those fallen angels is
so
Cypher.
Cool.
He's probably the most well-known of the fallen angels. And it's even rumored that he is Zariel, who we've talked about before.
Wow. That's so cool. So they're still going at it.
He's maybe even imbued with one final mission by the Lion to do. There's another talk that the sword on his back is the Lion's sword, the sword of Lionel Johnson. And as part of repentance, as part of his kind of grand mission, he has to bring this sword to the emperors, to the Golden Throne, and essentially atone for all of the Unforgiven and the fallen angels at one time. Like say, hey, listen, this is what we've done. And
again, this is something with sword traditions, like kissing the sword, swearing on the oaths on the sword. Yeah.
And there's a part actually in the new 8th edition that talks about how Cypher helps break Girly Man out of the Karos Faith Weaver's prison, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to do this, but you have to let me go and have an audience with the emperor."
Wow,
And Girly Man
yeah.
says, "Yeah, sure," and then eventually kind of imprisons him. But
What a dick.
Cypher, being Cypher, who is this kind of like the ultimate get out of jail free card type of individual,
Okay.
gets out of prison. But
Okay.
this gives you at least an idea of the level of clandestine activities that the Dark Angels have to pursue. Definitely a very secretive part, CIA type part of the Dark Angels, and it gets you a pretty crazy idea of what this Legion's like and where its kind of roots come from. And now when you play the Space Marines chapter of Dark Angels, you get a lot of that kind of mystery, but also that disciplined fighting force that you get from their army book and their codex.
That is so cool. I really like
This gave you guys a
them.
really good idea of Lionel Johnson. There was a lot packed in this video, and I tried to...
Thanks, man. That's exactly what I was looking for. And it didn't come up in the search as well. I skipped through, like, I have the to-do list of videos I still want to watch in Warhammer 40k. It's very, very long now, but I skipped through it because I was like, yes, someone probably once told me someone else than Amber King that had Primarchs, and then I found this guy. Someone recommended them. I think almost a year ago, like almost when we started these reactions, someone recommended this dude. So whoever that was, thank you for that. This was very awesome. Like, 2 parts or one or 2 parts were like, I didn't really get what was happening in the story, but I got the gist. I think I know who he is. And it's pretty cool. That was awesome. That was so good. So anyway, next time I will probably do the Emperor that I still owe you all since I've been owing you that for a year apparently. And yeah, then again, tell me what battle you want, and also if there's some sciencey stuff you want me to comment on. Like, we had the weapons, but if there's something else like that, please tell me as well. I would love to do that again. I love to think how, like, is this plausible from our current day physics perspective? I don't know. Anyway, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. My daughter is also saying goodbye to you till perhaps the next time when she sneakily sleeps on my lap again. But yeah, I really hope you have a great day. Again, if you watched it till the end, consider liking, subscribing to my channel, and I will see you in the next one, probably next week. And take care of yourself as always. Goodbye.